What's up, everyone? Hope you're doing well. My name is Jeremy. I'm with Oddly Enough Productions, and today I'm going to go through Ultrabeat in Logic Pro, and I'm going to go through the basic sequencing of things, how to get from the step sequencer to the arrange window in Logic, to how to change presets, how to mess with the MIDI, and also we're going to get a little bit to sidechaining a little bit, sidechain compression, to give the beat a little bit more groove. So this is going to be the first official audio session where I kind of walk you through how to use certain features in some DAWs like Logic Pro, which is my favorite production DAW, and then of course Pro Tools, which is my favorite editing and audio post-production DAW. So without further ado, let's get into it. So what we have here is we have basically a blank session in Logic. For those of you familiar with Logic, when you open up a new session, it's actually going to look something like this, where it brings up a dialog window where it asks you what you want to do. Do you want to create a new audio track? Do you want to create an external MIDI track, software instrument, etc.? For today's video, we're going to be starting a new software instrument track. You can either select it from this drop-down menu from default, or you can change it later on. We're going to select it right now. So again, as I said, we're going to start with Ultrabeat. All right, and we want stereo, and the output is 1 and 2. So that's all good, and we're going to hit create. Okay, so what you see here is Ultrabeat. You've got basically 3 main components of the UI. You've got your samples here on the left. You've got your step sequencer down here. And then you've got your modulation window right here. This is where all the capabilities come in to play. As far as stock drum sequencers go, I feel like Ultrabeat's one of the most capable out there right now. It's really, really cool what you can do with this thing, and you can get some really, really interesting designs out of it. So to enable the step sequencer, because by default, if I just hit play right now, it's got nothing going on right now, so that's good. And then to enable the step sequencer, we're going to have to hit this power button right here, and then everything lights up, and then we've got our step sequencer. I'll move this out of the way so you guys can see it. So by default, it's got 32 steps, each step representing a 16th note. So when you see down here, the length of the step sequence is 32 steps, and the resolution is 16th. That basically means every 16th note gets a sequence, or gets a step, rather, in a sequence. You can change the resolution to make it wider or more fine if you'd like to. It gets pretty capable with what you can do, and you can change the length of the steps however you want. So it's got some really cool stuff. So let me go ahead and just hit play and see what comes out. Now it's automatically playing in tempo to my current project. So up here I've got all of the tempo controls and everything. I've got the song key, the time signature, and I've got the tempo, and I've got the beat. So now you'll notice I've got this playing the sequence in Ultrabeat, but it's not affecting the Logic timeline. So Ultrabeat allows you to make alterations in the sequence without necessarily affecting the timeline. So you can make, like, you could stop down on a track and then you can just say, oh, well, I've got this idea for a sequence or a fill that I want to add to it. You can work in Ultrabeat alone and then drag the MIDI into the arrange window, and I'll show you guys how to do that in a minute. Okay, so now let's change the kit. All right, so when you click up here in this top left corner, you can go through all of these different drum kits and drum banks, and then of course tutorial kit if you'd like. The tutorial kit's really cool. and it really allows you to familiarize yourself with the different parameters that Ultrabeat has to offer. But again, we're going to kind of have our own tutorial this time. So we're going to go into drum kits, and I'm just going to pick a random one. Let's call it Funk Boogie Kit. That sounds fun. Let's hear what it has to say. Yeah, that's definitely sounds like a Funk Boogie Kit. That is for sure. Okay, yeah, not bad. So it's got some interesting sounds there, something we can work with. It's got a nice groove. It's already shuffled in swing mode, so that's good. So now we have our sequence, right? Now, what do you do if you want to create your own sequence? Well, there are a couple of ways to do it. The way I like to do it is you see down here, it has your sequence pattern right here. I'm going to click on that, and everything that has SQ next to it means it's already has a sequence assigned to it. So we're going to go create our new one, and we're going to create it right at B -1. Okay. Same thing. We're going to add a little bit of a swing to this pattern. All right. We'll leave it at like right around 60%. See how that sounds. Let me just put 4 on the floor for the kick drum real quick. Let's see how it sounds. Yeah, okay. That's interesting enough. Now, if I wanted to make it sound a little bit more interesting, add a little bit of more human quality to it, or humanize it rather, you can change the velocity down here for each step. So that kind of allows me to kind of play with the sample a little bit, just kind of make it sound a little bit more human. Turn up the kick a little bit. Yeah, okay, it's not bad. Let's hear what the low tom has to say. So now if I just want to audition things really quick, I play my sequence and I can start hammering things down on my MIDI controller. Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. I like the way that sounds. Yeah, okay. Let's see what the Kabasa has to say. Again, let me humanize it a little bit. All right. Mm-hmm. All right, yeah, that's got a nice groove to it. I dig it. So now that I've got a sequence going that I'm happy enough with, let me go ahead and drag it into the arrange window. So now that I've got something working in here, all I have to do is, you see down here, right next to pattern, if I hover the cursor over this, it says drag to arrange window. Okay, let's see what that does. Let me click on it and drag it to the arrange window. And would you look at that, if I turn off the sequencer, wow. I mean, that's my pattern right there. That's pretty sick. So let me just option copy that over, and let me get a nice 8-bar groove going. So now I like this sequence, but I want to add a little bit of a fill, right? on the 8th bar. Let's see what that sounds like. Okay. All right. That's a nice interesting fill. So now that I've got that fill going, look at this. I can just drag this. And boom, just like that, I've got a nice 8-bar phrase. Let's listen to it. Oh, you know what? I forgot to turn off the sequencer. That's the issue. So again, as you guys just heard, no matter what the MIDI's got going on, if I have the sequencer on in Ultrabeat, it will supersede everything that's happening in the MIDI region. So if I turn that off, it now should be back to the original groove. Okay, yeah, that's not bad at all. Let me see what another kit will sound like with that. So another cool thing is if I just wanted to A and B something real quick, I can just create a new Ultrabeat track here, and then let me just yeah, I've got this preset that I've kind of put together. It's kind of a Frankenstein preset of an existing preset in Ultrabeat called Broken Kit, and then a few of my own kick samples. So let's see how that sounds. If I drag this while holding Option, I can copy it down, mute this, and hear how it sounds. Okay. Okay, yeah, that's not bad. Let me bring in the MIDI that I was working on before. There's this cool little groove that I think fits this really well. Okay, yeah. Let me clear this MIDI out. Let's see what happens. Okay, now let's see how that sounds. Now I've got a compressor going on here. I've got Empirical Labs Distressor on it by UAD, but you could use pretty much any compressor. And I've got a preset, just a little bit of dry and wet compression just to make sure it doesn't clip the master. Yes, that sounds really good. Awesome. All right, so then I've got these two grooves going on. They're nice. So if I want to just be OCD here, I'm just going to join these MIDI regions so that they're both in 4-bar phrases. The way I do that is I hold Command and I hit J when I have these two MIDI regions selected, and then it automatically joins them so that I've got two nice, pretty 4-bar phrases. Sweet. So now that I've got a really dope groove going on, let me go ahead and bring in a couple of things to Sidechain. Okay. And also, just so you guys know, the type of sidechaining I'm going to be doing is going to be more dance music based rather than the typical like kind of hip hop or New York style compression. I'm going to be doing dance music type sidechain compression. Okay, so I've got this loop that I came up with earlier. Let me hear how it sounds real quick. Yeah, okay. Let's drag that in, see how that sounds. Well, I can just tell by looking at it. I need to boost it up a little bit. Let me boost that. Change no input. Cool, cool, cool. All right, let's see how that sounds. Changing this output would help, wouldn't it? Oh yeah. Yes, that's a nice little groove we got going on. All right, let's start sidechaining, shall we? Well, before we do that, let me drag in a couple other things. I think that it needs just a little bit, maybe a little bit of some topper stuff. Let me see. Let me just. And again, this is all Apple Loops libraries. This is all stuff that's included with Logic, with the exception of the grooves that the loops that I came up with. I added those manually. You can add your own library loops, or you can have hundreds of Apple loops. As you can see here, these are all really, really nice Apple loops. So let me just audition a couple of things, see how it sounds. Okay, yeah, that's got a nice groove to it. Drag that Apple loop in, automatically maps it to tempo. Let me just bring it down a few dB. Just gonna make it more even with everything. Okay, yeah. Let me see, what else do we have here? Let me try simple snap. Oof. Yeah, that's dope. All right. Oh, it's already 8 bars. Nice. I love that when it works out. Okay, bring it down just like everything else. Change the output. No input. Let's see how that sounds. Yes, that's a nice little groove. Let me just group the drums together. Yeah, so that's dope, guys. All right, so let me jump right into sidechain compression. So first things first, I am going to create another track again, and it is going to be an instrument track. It's going to be Ultrabeat. Now, earlier we selected stereo. This time you want to select multi-output, okay? We're going to select multi-output. And there are a bunch of ways to do sidechain compression in Logic. I discovered this technique a few weeks ago, and I really like it. I feel like it gives me a lot more control over what I'm actually doing and what I'm actually, what signal I'm sending out. So I'm going to focus on this one today. Again, there are lots of ways to do sidechain compression. I just really like this way. So yeah, let me just start off by figuring out what kind of kick I want to use. All right, that's good. All right, sweet. So that sounds good. It doesn't need to be an interesting kick, because we aren't going to hear the kick itself. We're going to hear the result of the kick compressing things, but we're not going to actually hear the kick itself. So that's all well and good. It's nice and short, simple, very controllable signal rather to use for sidechain compression. So the reason why I did multi-output as opposed to stereo is I can send that kick out individually. So I'm going to do that. So I've got this kick right here. And let me go ahead and turn on the sequencer, and I'm going to start a new pattern. All right, and again, 4 on the floor. Nice and simple. I'm not going to worry about humanizing it with velocity or anything because, again, we're not going to really hear it. And if anything, we want it to be more consistent. So now we go here. Once we have our sequence, let's play it real quick. All right, yeah, so it's 4 on the floor. Great. Now we're going to send this kick out the subgroup 2, okay? Doesn't really matter which subgroup you choose. It's just easier to send it right out of subgroup 2 or subgroup 3 and 4, or just 3 and 4. So I'm just going to send it out to 3 and 4. Okay? So now I play it, and everything should play just fine. Right? So I've got that. Great. Now here's where the trick comes in. I'm going to hit Command 2, and it's going to bring up my mixer window. Okay? So then here I've got my sidechain pulse signal. Okay? And you see that little plus and minus? That's where the multi-output comes into play. So this one, no plus and minus. This one does have a plus and minus. So I'm going to add an output. And look at that. Ultrabeat 3, 4. So then when I hit play, as opposed to coming out of this, the kick drum is coming out of this other output I've designated. So I'm going to call this sidechain, or SC. So now I don't want to hear this kick necessarily. I don't want to hear the actual kick itself. So I'm going to change the output. Okay, so I'm going to click the output, and rather than just saying no output, I'm going to send it to a bus. Okay, a bus essentially is treated like an effects send in Logic. Okay, it's just a way to route audio different ways. So I'm going to pick bus 10. That's just kind of the go-to bus that I use. So I'm going to call this sidechain 1. And I'm going to change this to no output. So now, if I play it, I don't hear it. So that's good. Now, go back to our mixer window. Nice. Okay, I dig it. So now we've got that going. We've got our ghost sidechain going on, so that's nice. Now, first things I want to do is I'm going to solo safe these so that if I want to listen to how the sidechain is working, I can solo each instrument and kind of adjust how it's affecting it. So I'm going to hold down Control and click on S. I'm just going to solo safe all of those because I want to. I want them to. I want the signal to make it through despite me soloing different instruments. Okay, so that's all we need out of our mixer window for now. And we're going to throw our sidechain pulse up here. I'm just going to change it to a random icon. Boom. Okay. So let's solo this organ and start with the sidechain compression. All right, I'm going to use Logic's stock compressor because it's a great compressor and it does the trick for what I'm needing right now. Okay. So right now it's working normally like it should. Okay. Now I'm going to enable sidechain right here. And would you look at that? Boom, down there, bus 10, just how I wanted. So I'm going to click that. I'm going to see how it affects the meter. All right, so right now it's, if you can tell, the 4 on the floor is affecting the compression, which is exactly what I wanted. Let me go ahead and tweak some knobs, turn auto gain off, auto release off, and let me just hear if I can make this sound dope. Okay, yeah, I like that. So rather than, loading up the compressor again and doing the exact same thing, I'm just going to go over to my mixer and I'm just going to option copy that compression over here. See how that sounds. It should be affecting this the same way. Nice, that sounds good. I like it. See how it sounds in the mix. Yes. Nice. That sounds good. Now let's see what happens if I do the same thing for the percussion. Let's see if it helps the groove even more. Let's see how it sounds. Now, I like it. I really like it. Let me adjust the threshold on just the snaps, because I really like the snaps, right? I don't want it to compress as much. I still want it to kind of, groove and suck in and out of the kick. But I still want to hear the snaps. And right now the compression is masking them. So let me see how that sounds right now. Nice. Only thing it needs now is a bass line. I'm going to load up Alchemy real quick and just lay down a bass line real quick. Something simple. Bass. Urban. 808 bass. All right, I got something going. Let's just record it. Okay, not bad. Let's quantize it a little bit just to kind of sweeten it up a little bit. I do want the swing though, so let me just do that. Okay, yeah, that's dope. Let me add the same sidechain compression to the bass. Nice. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is Ultrabeat 101 step sequencing with a little bit of sidechain compression. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this video. It was a lot of fun doing. It's the first of many. On my next audio walkthrough, if you'd like me to focus on something in particular with Logic or Pro Tools even, just let me know in a comment down below. And if you like this video, drop a like. And don't forget to subscribe. That would really help me out a lot. I really appreciate it. Again, guys, thank you so much for checking it out. I will see you in the next audio walkthrough. Adios.